Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel with all things PSG in English, and I wanted to come up today a little bit early with some news that we're hearing about the Classique tonight, the OM PSG game. And there's a couple of things which might impact the game. The first one, I'll just jump straight in. There is a storm warning in place on Marseille with heavy rainfall, thunder, and possible local flooding happening throughout like the French Riviera and the southeast of France in general, and happening in Marseille throughout the afternoon, but with the peak rainfall expected early in the evening, so exactly when the game is supposed to happen. And so right now, like, there is a question mark. The game hasn't been moved, hasn't been cancelled yet, nothing has been decided, but yeah, like anything could happen. It's gonna really depend on what goes on in the next few hours. And yeah, like I said, like, we don't know yet. Obviously, it's weather, so it's really hard to forecast. Right now, the weather in Marseille is looking like early afternoon a little bit better than expected, but still pretty shaky. And yeah, what happens typically, and I just want to walk through the process just so like we can take off any questions on that. Typically, from now until like around 6 p.m., it's up to the league and the French like state and police and so on to decide if the game needs to get cancelled. So far, they haven't made that decision. They're looking at it, but they haven't made that decision. Typically, what would happen is that if we head this way, they try to make the decision as early as possible so that the people going to the game don't have to move to the game. Obviously, if there's heavy rainfall and flooding and so on, you don't want 60,000 people taking their car and jamming up the traffic all over the city. So they might try to take that decision as early as possible. Around 6 p.m. is when the referee arrives in the stadium, and from that moment on, it's all in the hands of the referee. And the referee, technically, he will look at the pitch, he will look if it's playable or not, he will look for the safety of the players. If there's thunder, typically we don't play. And then, like, what could very well happen as well is that the game starts but get interrupted. It could restart after an interruption. It could like restart or get cancelled and played after. But it's all in the hands of the referee at this point. The Velodrome Stadium in Marseille, there's no roof over the pitch. It's actually like kind of like in a bowl, in a natural bowl sort of shape. So if there's heavy rainfall, the pitch could get flooded relatively easily. Obviously, like, pitches in football stadium have all sorts of draining system and all sorts of system to take the water out. But could happen. And then, like I said, in case of thunder, they don't keep player out and about on the pitch, willing to be struck by lightning. So if there is a thunder falling in and around Marseille, yeah, you can expect at least an interruption, if not a cancellation. And then, like, the next question as well, which is like really critical. If the game gets cancelled, typically, if it can be played, it will be played the next day. So tomorrow night would be when it would be played, if it can be played. So in this context of rain and flooding and so on, if it's still going on tomorrow, which, according to weather forecast, probably not going to be the case, but the game would be played then. If it's not possible to play tomorrow, then it goes back to the league to organize and reset the game at a later date. Because I was seeing some tweets saying like, oh, because we don't have a midweek game next week, or like we could play on Wednesday, or we could play at some point middle of the week. Not going to be the case. It's either going to be tomorrow, Monday, or like at a later date. And tomorrow, Monday, is actually like not really working well for either team. For PSG, there is the Ballon d'Or ceremony in Paris with 9 of our players involved, and obviously we want to be there in person and be present for that. And then for Marseille, they actually have a camp set up, I think, in Italy that they're supposed to be living with. So the whole logistics of the team going off on camp has been arranged and would have to be pushed back. So for both teams, the idea of just pushing back the game 24 hours is just not the best solution, and not really what they would want to have. But it is what it is, and like I said, like if the game can be played tomorrow, it will be like and get pushed back from tonight, it would be played tomorrow. And that we will know in the next few hours. Obviously, like it's about 1 p.m. in France, so we're about 8 hours away from the game, about like 5 hours away from the decision moving to the hands of the referee. And typically, like the weather warning starts around lunchtime, so started technically an hour ago, and was ramping up throughout the afternoon. So far, like last I checked, which was about 15 minutes ago, there was no rain happening in Marseille just now. So very cloudy, very overcast. But yeah, we'll see. Second thing that I wanted to talk about as well, PSG announced our squad for the game with one big news. Bradley Barcola is missing out on the game. He had a muscle kind of pain happening at training yesterday, so he didn't do the whole training. We're being told by the club that this is out of an abundance of caution. They want to take no chance with a player who's played a lot, obviously, and in the context of having a few injuries, we're taking absolutely no chances with the players, which is also why, João Neves got taken off of the field against Atalanta and isn't playing this game either. So yeah, no like long-term risk being taken with a player, which is completely fair. Obviously, it leaves our attack line a little bit thin. But we could still go into Marseille playing Kvara, Ramos, Lee Kangin. Yeah, that's still a pretty solid attack if you compare to Marseille, who are gonna play like 39-year-old Aubameyang, Greenwood, who shows up like one game in 3, like, new recruit Paik Xiao, who like still hasn't played a game in the league as far as I know. So like, yeah. We still have some room to go. And it's funny, I was seeing some tweets as well, like, wouldn't it be great to just beat them with Mbaye and Mayulu? Honestly, like, I'd have to go back on my notes on Aubameyang, but I'm pretty sure there's no player in the Marseille squad that scored in a Champions League final. So, we'll see what it is. Anyways, this is kind of the news I had for you on the day of the game. Storm warning. I'll try to keep you posted as much as possible, but I'm sure all of you guys will be hearing about this anyway. So yeah, to keep in mind, until 6, it's in the hands of the organizer and the state and so on. After 6, it's in the hand of the referee. If the games get pushed back, priority to play it tomorrow night. If not, at a later date to be decided later. And sadly, no Barcola for this game. So I'm sorry I don't come with the best of news. Still, do try to drop a like for this video. Leave me a comment what you think, and like let's share the pain and the stress ahead of this game. And don't forget, like, storm or not, ici c'est Paris!